All right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, what I'm going to share with you is I'm going to tell you probably most likely if you're thinking of starting a fitness or a health or an online coaching business, why you're most likely going to fail. And this is not me saying and shitting on you and being like, oh, I don't believe in you. I don't think that you're going to get success. This is me looking at statistics. This is me looking at most people that start a business within this space will fail. But what I'm going to tell you today, which should maybe give you some inspiration, is there are things that you can do. And I'm going to tell you the most important thing that you should do to actually make sure that you can guarantee yourself a level of success off the jump. Okay? So when I was first starting my coaching business, I was in school at the time. Okay? I was going to school, I was in college, I was studying to become a doctor. Okay? I was in pre-med. And I was looking around my lectures. I was going talking to this person, hey Amy, hey John. I was talking to all these people, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, so what I did personally is I wanted to make, my initial goal was to make $10,000 a month online. That was my initial goal. Okay, so the vehicle I initially used to do that was through online fitness coaching. I went to the gym. I had a good physique at the time. The gym was like my life at that time because, depressed college kid sort of archetype. All I had was the gym. I was super jacked. I was more jacked than I am now. Okay? And I was like, okay, I could probably monetize this to maybe make some money. Okay? So what I did is I had a buddy at the time, and me and my buddy pretty much started this business, not the same business, but he started a business similar to mine, and I started a business as well. We both had the same business that we were starting together. Okay? And what we were doing together is we were both kind of like doing the same thing on the back end. We're like, okay, we got to build out our program. We got to get a website. We got to start posting on Instagram. We got to start posting on TikTok. We got to make sure we have automations. What about our onboarding funnel? All this stuff. We invested into all of these back end softwares like ClickFunnels, Go High Level, even before we had any sort of clients. Okay? And me and him, okay, me and my buddy, I'm gonna call him John for now. I don't want to disclose his name. But me and my buddy, we were on this path and we were doing this, building our back end for like 8 months. Okay? We were doing this, like researching, learning how to fulfill, how to run a business, how to hire employees. We were actually literally hiring employees as well before we had clients. We were doing this for 8 months, okay? Without marketing, without sales. And there became a point where we're like, okay, dude, like, when is it going to be enough so that we can actually start to make money? A business is something that makes money. So how can we potentially make money? Okay, because we're not in this just for charity work, we're in this to make money. Okay? So at that point, I was like, okay, I've got to start talking to prospects and I have to start pitching prospects. Okay? So my buddy, John, he was still building his back end and I was like, okay, fuck it. Do what you want to do. I'm going to just go and start doing sales. I'm going to start talking to prospects. And he was saying, no, you shouldn't do that. You're not ready yet. Okay? So I started doing this. I started calling prospects. I started getting prospects on the phone, cold DMing people, actually trying to get people on the phone. And I was shit at sales at the time. Like I had no experience with sales, no experience with anything, but I just took action with sales. Okay? And once I got my first 5 sales calls, okay, which I was super ecstatic about because getting your first sales calls is it feels like you're discovering fire pretty much. Okay? When I got my first sales calls, I pretty much got these people on the call, had no idea about sales. When they jump on the call, I'm like, hey, how are you? He's like, good. I'm like, okay, so this is how much my product is. This is how much it is to join. This is what you're getting. Do you want it, yes or no? Okay? And everyone would say, let me think about it. Oh, I'm not super interested. Let me talk to my wife. And then I pretty much from there, that took me into the rabbit hole of learning sales and actually getting proficient at sales. Okay? While my buddy, my buddy John, he was still building his back end, focused on automations, focused on all of this fluff, rather than just getting in front of the prospect and pitching the prospect. Okay? So if you're watching this, and if you're an online fitness coach or a health coach, or even if you're just thinking of starting a business in general, online, or even in person, your first goal should be to get in front of the people you want to pitch and pitch them. That should be your goal, okay? And the more times you can get in front of someone and pitch them, the more chance you have, the more shots you have at signing a client. And the more sales calls you do, the caveat is you get better at selling, okay? So you have a higher chance of closing people the more sales calls you take, and with time, you get better at sales, okay? So here's the thing. All in all, my message to you is this. If you're watching this and you're thinking of starting an online business or a fitness coaching business online, is you have to get in front of your prospect and you have to pitch your prospect. I don't want you to be one of these people who thinks of starting a business and says, okay, I gotta do all this. Even though, yes, there are things you have to do on the back end, for sure. I'm not discrediting that, okay? But you don't really know what your prospect wants, okay? You don't even know how to sell. Let's say that is built out. Then you get on the phone with a prospect, you're still gonna be shit at sales. You're not gonna know how to ask certain questions to influence emotions. You're not gonna know how to handle objections, okay? So my advice for you is this, is when I was first starting, okay, I went through that stage, and then when I started actually getting in front of prospects and selling, I felt horrible for my past self for actually going through all that. Because it was all it was all gone. It was obsolete looking back. I'm like, okay, why did I do all that work and do all that stuff? Because now it's gone. It didn't matter anymore because now my hypotheses were changing. I was finding new things out by talking to my prospects, okay? So all in all, you don't know what your prospect wants until you talk to your prospect. And the easiest way to do that is by getting in front of people and literally asking them, okay? So first step, action step, is if you're watching this with me and you're thinking of starting a business, I need you to find a way to get in front of prospects and pitch your prospects. And you are going to be the one on the phone pitching these prospects. Build out a framework of how you think you should pitch them, certain questions you should ask them, certain things that you should say beforehand, questions, connecting questions, their current state, their desired state, what's stopping them, okay? And then actually getting into the nitty-gritty of pitching, going through objections and actually learning and iterating on this process, okay? Because there's so much back-end work that can be constantly done. And for you to differentiate yourself, you have to take action on sales, and you have to take action on sales right now. A website isn't a business. A TikTok page isn't a business. A business is cash in. A business is money in. I made that mistake myself, okay? I don't care if people are like, oh, where's your website? I can't find you. That doesn't matter. What matters is, have you made money from doing this yet? Yes or no? If the answer to that is no, then you have to say, okay, how many sales calls have I had so far? Okay, I've only had 5 sales calls. Okay, how can we make that 50 sales calls? Okay, after you've done 50 sales calls, you're now going to be better than when you had 5 sales calls at selling. Okay, now in comparison to me, who's done several thousand sales calls, okay, I know a lot more about sales and what my prospect wants in comparison to my first 5 sales calls. Okay, so for you starting out, take action. Don't be the person, don't be a John who sits around and just says, okay, yeah, no, I gotta build this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. No, take action now, learn sales, get in front of your prospect and pitch. And trust me, you are going to be bad when you start. You are going to be shit at sales when you start. People are gonna tell you to fuck off. I have countless stories of me literally cold calling businesses when I was in the B2B niche, and people telling me to fuck off. People saying, okay, like I was doing when I was in B2B, I was cold calling businesses like a madman, like 100 dials a day. People were telling me, tell me the pitch already. How much do you charge? Fuck off. Like all this sort of stuff, okay? And what this does is this builds a thick skin for yourself to move forward. You learn from these. You get better at it, okay? So you need to start selling, and you need to start selling now. So if you're watching this video, close this fucking video, Find a way to get prospects on the phone and pitch these prospects. And the more times you do this, you're gonna get better at it. Trust me on this. It is a volume game at the start. People don't trust you. People don't care about you. You have no proof of concept, okay? And the only way to get around that proof of concept is by having persuasion skills to influence people enough to feel comfortable to move forward without actually having case studies. If you're on a sales call with someone and they say, okay, can you show me other case studies that you have of people you've worked with? You don't have anything. So the only way to potentially get around that objection is by understanding sales psychology. Okay, Mr. Prospect, yeah, I do have some other prospects that I can send your way. What are you kind of looking for though? Oh, I just want to make sure that this is something that would 100% work with me. Okay, from the system I ran you through, is this something that, you feel like, I guess, would work for you? Because sometimes the system's not for everyone. Yeah, I do feel like the system would work for me. Okay, what about the system do you kind of like? Well, I like this, I like this, I like this. Okay, and what about the system, I guess, are you a little bit hesitant on? Oh, I'm not super sure about this. Okay, so if I kind of break down maybe this segment of it a little bit more, would that kind of work for you, Mr. Prospect? Yeah, okay? So I've had that thousands of times, or hundreds of times when I didn't have prospects and I would have to get around that, okay? Because there's no amount of TikToks you're gonna make that are gonna get around the objection. These are just specific sales techniques and things that you're gonna have to learn. And this pertains to everything. Oh, you don't have a massive, are you just starting out? It doesn't look like you've been around so long in business, right? These are objections that you're gonna have to get around, and the only way to get around them is through sales persuasion and sales psychology. So learn this stuff, get proficient at it at the start. Don't be a John, don't build your back end, get better at it. It's a volume game at the start, period. Okay, it's a volume game at the start. How many sales calls can you do at the start? Bang those sales calls out, get better at sales. And then from there, you can really focus in on other things that matter more once then you already have a client base. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.